Now in Good Morning Northwest, a fire near Bonnie Lake in Whitman County forces people from their homes. We have a new update this morning from the fire lines.
And a change you need to know before you finalize your plans for the 4th of July, what we are tracking now in my forecast.
And processing a plea, how the families of Bryan Kohberger's victims are reacting now that he's admitted to murdering 4 University of Idaho students. You're watching Good Morning Northwest on 4 News Now. Well, Good Morning Northwest. I'm Derek Dice. Robin and Natalie are both off this morning. Meteorologist Matt Gray is here, though, with a look at that first alert forecast as we get ready to head into a holiday weekend, Matt.
Yeah, into the holiday weekend, and really for the last few days, we thought we were just going to be able to relax and enjoy some cooler temperatures. It looks like Mother Nature trying to throw a wrench into things with the new data this morning. Rain chances for the 4th of July. We do have a decent shot at that across the Blue Mountains, the LC Valley, and then into the central Idaho Panhandle, north central part of Idaho. We'll also be looking at a slight chance of a shower by the end of your 4th of July for Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, and across the Palouse region and in the North Cascades. So the change here, it does look like there's a little weather disturbance. It's going to try and make things interesting for the back end of the day. For most of us, however, that rain chance is still incredibly small. So it will be cloudier for most of us for the 4th of July. And while the chances are not good, at least there's a chance. We just want you to be informed so you can make sure you have any sort of contingency just in case one of those showers tries to head to your neighborhood. Next week, by the way, going to be hot again. So enjoy some of these cooler temperatures we've got today. Sunshine, beautiful weather for your Thursday. Temperatures only in the low 80s for most of us. So looking pretty good there. We'll have more on that 4th of July forecast coming up.
All right, Matt, sounds good. Thank you. We are following some breaking news overnight out of Chicago, where 4 people were killed in a drive-by shooting outside of a nightclub. It happened just before 11 o'clock, right as that club was closing and people were coming outside. Police say 2 men and 2 women were killed and as many as 18 others were injured. The car immediately fled the scene and nobody at this time is in custody. Bryan Kohberger will be sentenced later this month for murdering 4 University of Idaho students. His guilty plea in court yesterday, ending more than 2.5 years of maintaining his innocence. Kohberger didn't show any emotion in court yesterday, staying mostly still and locking eyes with Judge Stephen Hippler as he asked him a string of direct questions. The 30-year-old kept his answers short, accepting responsibility for each of the students' deaths.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Did you kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being?
Yes.
As part of this plea deal, Kohberger will be spared the death penalty. It's a decision that's led to mixed responses from the victims' families.
We support the plea agreement 100%. While we know there are some who do not support it, we ask that they respect our belief that this is the best outcome possible for the victims, their families, and the state of Idaho.
You don't think 4 life sentences is justice?
No, of course not. It's daycare. Prison is daycare, people.
Now, family members of these 4 victims will be afforded the opportunity to confront Kohberger directly before sentencing on July 23rd. Now, the University of Idaho released a statement following the plea deal reading, quote, "We keep the families of the victims in our hearts as each deals with this outcome in their own way. Since that fateful day in November of 2022, our university has become stronger, more intent on its purpose, and more supportive of each other. And while we will not forget, we will heal." Again, Kohberger's sentencing is set for July 23rd at 9 a.m. That's when the victims' families will be allowed to confront him directly. We'll have complete coverage here on 4 News Now.
This morning, we are tracking a fire that's burning near Bonnie Lake. And just moments ago, I just got off the phone with Fire District 3. I was told that the fire is still burning at 0% containment. It's also burning at more than 400 acres. That's roughly the size of 300 football fields, and it's still very active this morning. Take a look. This is where the fire started. Crews were first called around 3 p.m. yesterday near West Cheney Plaza and South Texas Ferry Road, which is west of Roselia. Now, at first, they had a hard time getting to it. The fire was burning down in a canyon near Bonnie Lake, and fire crews couldn't get water on it right away. Then the wind kicked in, and that's when things got bad. It carried the flames right up the canyon wall, and from there, the fire took off.
The only assets were air attack that could, those airplanes that could work through the fire until it came up through the canyon and spilled over and pushed through the grass and timberland where our apparatus was waiting.
Level 3 evacuations remain in place this morning. That includes people living between Bonnie Lake and Texas Ferry Road, as well as the north tip of the lake. Fire District 3 also says the wind made this fire unpredictable. As of right now, the cause is still under investigation. We'll continue tracking this fire and bring you updates as we get them in. Reporting in studio, Hannah Joy, 4 News Now.
All right, Hannah, thanks for the update. The National Interagency Fire Center says this year's fire risk for the Inland Northwest will be higher than normal from now until October. This is because of the hot weather and dry conditions we've been experiencing. While firefighters are bracing for a tough fire season, they are prepared. Some agencies have added more wildfire brush trucks to their fleets, and others have brought in seasonal firefighters.
When we have a big wildland fire, it drains the entire district. And so more people we have, the better.
Fire crews say the public can help by signing up for Alert Spokane, having an evacuation plan in place, and following the burn ban all summer long. All right, a traffic alert now for Northwest Spokane. A major water infrastructure project started Monday, and it could affect your commute. Take a look at this map from the city of Spokane, which shows where crews will begin installing a new water transmission main. Phase 1 will begin at the intersection of Francis, Assembly, and Driscoll, the area in red, closing a small portion of Assembly and Driscoll in both directions. The road work will be done between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday for several weeks. Temporary traffic signals and detours will be in place. The city expects this first phase of construction to last until August the 15th. Now, we have a link to more information about this project right now on our website at kxly.com. And I should say that is starting this coming Monday. It didn't start this Monday. All right, good morning, Northwest. Time is 6:07. We're going to send things back over to Matt Gray as we get ready for what for a lot of people will be a long holiday weekend.
Yeah, long holiday weekend. Certainly some changes we just talked about for your 4th of July. If you're waking up this morning, say in Post Falls or in the Valley, and you got a little bit of a campfire smell, we're going to talk about that too coming up in my full forecast.
And just a day away from President Trump's deadline, his so-called big beautiful bill may have the votes to pass. What may be standing in its way? And just before the 4th of July, a fireworks disaster leaves 7 people missing and families demanding answers. That story coming up after the break. All right, welcome back. Here's a look at what's new on Good Morning Northwest. This morning, lawmakers on Capitol Hill continue to debate the president's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. President Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson working the phones, trying to convince members in their own party to support the bill. We'll actually hear from our local representative Michael Baumgartner about this in our next half hour. Critics are concerned over cuts to Medicaid and the potential to add $3.4 trillion to the debt over the next decade. We may still have hours of activity and debate ahead before the mega bill passes a full vote in the House. The Trump administration is freezing more than $6 billion in education grants, leaving teachers and school officials scrambling with just weeks before classes begin. Administration officials say they are now reviewing how the grants are used, claiming some money supported what they call a radical left-wing agenda. The grants were already approved by Congress and were supposed to go out July 1st. Schools say the freeze affects summer programs, after-school activities, and the hiring of counselors and psychologists. Some tragic news now in the soccer world. Liverpool forward Diego Jota has died. The 28-year-old and his brother were killed in a car crash this morning in northern Spain. Jota won the Premier League title with Liverpool this past season and also was a member of Portugal's national team. He was married just 2 weeks ago. He and his wife have 3 children together. 7 people remain missing more than a day after a massive explosion and fire at a fireworks warehouse near Sacramento. Officials say the warehouse was full of pyrotechnics and the fire is still burning, making it too dangerous to send in search crews. Authorities are using drones to survey the wreckage. The warehouse had a pyrotechnics license, but the cause of the explosion remains unclear.
Scary stuff. 10-second takeaway here in your forecast. It will be cooler for the holiday weekend. Also, at least for the start of it, will be cloudier, including a chance for a couple of showers that we'll track for you for the July 4th holiday.
Well, if you're planning to hit the road for the 4th of July weekend, there is a little bit of relief for you at the pump. Gas prices in Spokane are still trending much higher than the national average. They always are, but they are down significantly this week, averaging $3.69 a gallon. Now, last week, the average was 26 cents more at $3.95 a gallon. In Idaho, the current average is $3.42. July 1st marked the beginning of a new gas tax in Washington, raising the price an additional 6 cents a gallon. Good Morning Northwest time is now 6:13. The 4th of July can be a scary time for your pets. We have tips to help you keep them safe. And here is another live look at Liberty Lake as we get ready to take you out to a break. Looks like somebody else getting ready to do a little fishing this morning as well. We'll be right back. Well, the 4th of July is quickly approaching, a time for barbecues, parties, and of course, fireworks. While taking part in these celebrations, though, it's important to keep your pet safety in mind. ABC's Christian Cordero has some tips on how to keep pets happy, healthy, and safe during the holiday weekend.
This 4th of July, Americans will hear the booms and whistles of independence, but it can be a scary time for pets who don't understand what's going on.
Anything that's going to be different than what the pets are normally used to, especially things that have bright lights or loud sounds like fireworks, like parades, those are going to be pretty stressful for pets.
As a pet parent, what can you do to keep your pets calm during the holiday festivities? First, create a quiet space.
Bringing them inside, drawing the shades, maybe putting on the radio or, throwing on a movie to help drown out the festivities can really help animals manage their anxiety during what can be a pretty overwhelming time for them.
If you plan to set off fireworks at home, clean up any trash or leftover materials before letting your pets back out.
There are all sorts of chemicals, combustibles that make up fireworks, and you always want to make sure that those kinds of things are cleaned up so that way a pet who's let out the next day, maybe to run around the yard, doesn't inadvertently get into something that could really cause some serious health risks.
The 4th of July is all about the barbecues, but when it comes to your pets, say no to scraps.
Not everything that we typically associate with barbecues are pet safe. If you want to include your pet in that kind of celebration, pet safe frozen fruits and vegetables, things like watermelon or blueberries, even carrots, can help them be part of the celebration. But in a safe way.
Now is a good time to make sure pets have up-to-date ID tags with your current contact information.
The 4th of July and the days right after are some of the biggest days for intake at animal shelters. So making sure that pets have up-to-date ID tags, that their microchips are up-to-date, is going to be one of the best ways to make sure that if a pet goes missing, they're able to get back home as quickly as possible.
For less stress, make arrangements ahead of time for your pets to be safe at home, rather than outside at a parade or fireworks display.
It's really just about keeping pets calm and happy and giving them the quiet and space so they can get through the festivities that they don't really understand what's happening, so they don't have that context to be able to celebrate alongside us.
Christian Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
All right, we are giving you another live look at Liberty Lake this morning, courtesy of our photojournalist Logan, who's been out there all morning long. Lots of people getting ready for the 4th of July weekend and trying to get a little fishing in as well.
Right.
Maybe catch something that they can fry up on the barbecue a little bit later. All right, and it appears trying to get that boat out was what was supposed to be happening here before something went terribly wrong, leaving this boat in the middle of Francis Street in North Spokane. Viewer Richard Henderson sent us this video and mentioned he actually did call Crime Check to report that boat just right out there in the middle of the street.
Oh my gosh.
Not a great start to the weekend for whoever belongs to that boat.
No, that is a very bad start for sure.
Hey, we're actually been hearing from people in the Valley, Liberty Lake, like they've got a lot of smoke in that area.
And we're starting now in the studio here. We're even starting to smell a little campfire odor coming in through the vents. So let's talk about it here. So we mentioned, you Derek did, about this fire that's been burning down by Bonnie Lake in southern Spokane County. Well, with winds out of the south this morning, we're starting to see not only moderate air quality, we've seen that throughout the morning actually in Spokane Valley, but also in Spokane, likely in Cheney as well. Winds have started to shift a little bit to out of the due south, and so that's going to bring some of that smoke into these areas as well. So the trend, while it's green right now, the air quality trend is going in the wrong direction for places like Cheney, like Spokane, and we're going to keep an eye on that as we head through the rest of the morning. But certainly with winds generally out of the south or southwest this time of the year, that fire at a very inconvenient spot for air quality in the greater Spokane area. And it is still pretty gusty this morning. Gusts up to 22 at Spokane, gusts up to 25 in the Pullman area. Due south winds in Spokane Valley light, but that has been bringing in the smoke from that fire as we've gone through the night here. So something to keep in mind, other than a little bit of haze and that little bit of that smell here this morning, which will lift as we head into the afternoon. It's a pretty nice start to the day. Temperatures in the upper 50s, low 60s, cooler than we've seen over the past couple of mornings. Overall, this is going to be a much more comfortable day across the I-90 corridor in the inland northwest. Temperatures in the mid 80s for the afternoon, and we'll be looking at low 80s around the Coeur d'Alene area. So let's take a look here at your 7-day forecast A small chance of a shower on Friday. We're going to be looking more towards places like Lewiston to see some of that going on. And then hot weather returns next week, Derek. So it is going to be steamy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Enjoy your time outdoors this weekend and then get ready to stay inside in the AC.
Oh, yeah.
When the work week starts. All right, Matt, thank you. Good morning, Northwest time is now just about 6:22. Coming off back-to-back wins, the Spokane Velocity looked to make it 3 in a row last night in front of the home crowd at One Spokane Stadium. We'll have highlights and post-game reaction from last night's match against Texoma FC next in Morning Sports.
Welcome to Morning Sports. I'm Jack Wallace. The Spokane Velocity and Texoma FC battled last night across the street at One Spokane Stadium, resulting in a draw, so no advantage for either side following 90 minutes of a pretty physical battle. The draw still keeps Spokane at the top of USL League One, 29 points through 14 matches, a nice 5-point cushion ahead of second place Charlotte. 22 goals for, but how about an incredibly impressive 9 goals allowed? One of 2 teams still allowing single-digit goals at this point in the year. The other, One Knoxville, played 5 fewer games. Head coach Lee Wiebman spoke post-game about how proud he is of his squad. They're such a highly successful first half of the season.
Collectively across the board, the guys have done a fantastic job to this point. I mean, we've already got more points today than we finished with in the season last year. So that tells you a lot where we're at as a team right now. But we're only halfway. We've still got a long way to go.
Spokane next rematch is Westchester SC, this time on the road in New York on Wednesday. Spokane will look for another win July 16th at 4 p.m. Pacific time. That'll wrap us up for Morning Sports. Check us out at 6 and Nightside right here on 4 News Now.
Mariners needing a home win to clinch the series dub over the Kansas City Royals. And there goes Randy Arozarena. Another night, another dinger. Tied game, bottom of the 6th. Julio Rodriguez now in the 7th. Line drive has popped up. Casey loses it, though. And in comes the leading run. Cole Young stops at third. Royals won't go away, though, in the 8th. Salvador Perez knocks in a man from third to bring the difference back to just 1. Top of the 9th, though. 2 outs, 2 strikes. Andres Munoz ice cold, a strikeout to end the game in Seattle. Another key series win with a 3-2 victory. All right, Good Morning Northwest time is now 6:26. Before we go to break, here's your first look at what's coming up on Good Morning America starting at 7.
In this morning's GMA First Look, the verdict is in.
It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system.
After 7 weeks, a jury of 8 men and 4 women found Combs not guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking, but convicted him of transportation for prostitution. Combs mouthing to each juror, "Thank you," then dropping to his knees in prayer.
We had a wonderful jury. They listened to every word, and they got the situation right, or certainly right enough.
But a federal judge denying his motion to be released on bail. The verdict suggested jurors did not believe the star witness, Cassie Ventura, was the victim of sex trafficking.
She's happy that for the first time in Sean Combs' life, he's been held responsible for something.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have all the fallout on the verdict and what's next for Sean Diddy Combs. With your GMA First Look, I'm Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
A diagnosis doesn't define you. Even ATTR cardiac amyloidosis. You've come a long way. Your path was never set in stone. You charged ahead. So why would life with ATTR-CM define you? You have the power of choice. Attruby is an oral medicine used to treat adults with ATTR-CM to reduce death and hospitalization related to heart problems. People taking Attruby saw an impact on health-related quality of life and were 50% less likely to be hospitalized for heart issues, giving you more chances to do what you love with who you love. Tell your doctor if you're pregnant, plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding, and about the medications you take. The most common side effects were mild and included diarrhea and abdominal pain. If you have ATTR cardiac amyloidosis, ask your cardiologist if Attruby is right for you. It's time to get busy living.
From 4 News Now, this is Good Morning Northwest.
All right, the 4 News Now Story Tracker. Following the stories people are reading about this morning. On July 23rd, Bryan Kohberger will learn his fate now that he has pleaded guilty to the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. In court yesterday, an emotionless Kohberger accepted responsibility for each of the students' deaths. As part of this plea deal, Kohberger will be spared the death penalty. It's a decision that's led to mixed responses from the victims' families. You can read their statements by finding this story on our website, KXLY.com. KenFlake.com. And this fire is burning an area about the size of 300 football fields near Bonnie Lake in Whitman County. It started near the area of West Cheney Plaza and South Texas Ferry Roads yesterday afternoon west of Rosalia. Level 3 or go now evacuation orders are still in place for areas around this fire this morning. Fire District 3 says strong winds are pushing the fire in different directions, making it difficult to contain.
Matt Gray planned my day.
Oh, we're gonna. And it's going to be a wonderful day across the inland Northwest. One issue this morning, and you're going to notice it right away when you step outside. Derek just talked about it, that Texas Ferry fire, bringing a little campfire smell to the inland Northwest this morning, to Spokane in particular. 58 degrees right now. Let's take a look at that fire, where it is. South of town here, and that with south and southwest winds this morning has been bringing some of that smoke and that campfire smell up into the I-90 corridor. We've seen moderate air quality throughout the morning in Spokane Valley. The trend in Spokane is going in the wrong direction, so we may see periods of moderate air quality later this morning around the Spokane area proper. We'll just have to keep an eye on that as long as it is actively burning, and it will likely still, because it is breezy again today. So another breezy day, but much cooler afternoon temperatures. So it is going to be quite comfortable compared to the last few days where we were sweltering in the 90s. Highs only in the low 80s for Spokane, for Coeur d'Alene. Many parts around the state line will see some upper 80s in the Columbia Basin. Some changes for your 4th of July forecast include clouds and perhaps even a couple of showers. We'll help you plan around that coming up.
We are following breaking news in D.C. President Trump's big, beautiful bill is still stuck in the House this morning, and things are heating up. Speaker Mike Johnson is trying to lock in votes from Republicans who are still on the fence, and with no support from Democrats, he can only afford to lose 3 votes. The bill includes $4 trillion in tax cuts, plus funding for border security and defense. It would also cut taxes on tips and overtime and add new work requirements to Medicaid. But critics say the bill could leave millions without health coverage. And it's not cheap. It could also add $3.4 trillion to the national debt.
A great bill. There is something for everyone. And I think it's going to go very nicely in the House. Actually, I think it will be easier in the House than it was in the Senate.
Still, some Republicans were not on board at first, but after talks with the White House, a few have started to change their minds.
I think President Trump was very persuasive with those members who had voted no, and fortunately, several of them switched their votes around.
So far, no vote just yet, and it could take hours. We are expecting a long day ahead on Capitol Hill. We'll keep you posted when we have more information. Reporting in studio, Hannah Joy, 4 News Now.
All right, Hannah, thank you so much. The firefighting community is rallying around their own in North Idaho. A specialized crisis team providing critical support to firefighters grieving the loss of 2 colleagues killed in Sunday's ambush on Canfield Mountain. The International Association of Firefighters sent a crisis team to help Kootenai County Fire and Rescue, Coeur d'Alene Fire, and Northern Lakes Fire. All 3 of these departments had members involved in the incident that killed battalion chiefs Frank Harwood and John Morrison.
As difficult as this has been, it's nice to have not just our local brothers and sisters that work here with us, but to have people that have come in to say, hey, you know, I'm disconnected from the people and the incident, but I'm connected because we're in the same firefighter family.
Now, that team will continue to help them with communications, mental health, and peer support. Now, Dave Tisdall, an engineer for the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department, was shot and critically wounded during that ambush. We learned last night, though, that Tisdall is off a ventilator and is talking. Coeur d'Alene Fire says his condition is improving. While Tisdall suffered severe chest and spinal trauma from the shooting, Deputy Fire Marshal Craig Etherton shares that doctors are optimistic for his recovery, although he still has a long road in front of him. Now, this deadly ambush has left the first responder community rattled and has brought up concerns about firefighter safety. The firefighters were called to a grass fire, something they're used to doing, but then were ambushed by a shooter. The First Responders Conference is a group working to support people in emergency services. They say while police and firefighters each face life-threatening risks, this kind of crossover incident is rare and unexpected.
Just really encouraging agencies, police, fire, everybody across the board
to plan for events such as this so that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and we can come together.
Lieutenant Jay Kernkamp was directly involved with this incident. He was one of 300 law enforcement personnel sent to assist local officers. He says seeing this happen so close to home was incredibly tragic, but it shows incidents like this can happen anywhere, even at the smallest agencies, making future planning for them important. All right, Good Morning Northwest time is now 6:36. We're going to send things over to Matt Gray now. And Matt, with our hot and dry conditions, the last thing any of those firefighters want to see are more big fires in the area.
Exactly. And we saw plenty of fire activity around the Northwest yesterday. Yeah. We could see a little haze on the horizon here in Deer Park, haze in the horizon in Spokane, thanks to that fire on the south side of the county. We'll have your forecast where we'll talk about all of those things and more coming up.
Well, so many people in our community are coming together to help the families of these fallen firefighters. How a local brew house is hoping to raise tens of thousands. Welcome back. No Light Brewhouse is raising money for the fallen firefighters this month. The Brewhouse is promising a $30,000 donation, but it's hoping to raise even more than that. No Light is collecting donations from customers. The Spokane Brewery will also host its Fight Fire with Beer event on July 18th and 19th, with proceeds going straight to the Red and Blue Foundation and the Spokane Firefighters Benevolent Fund.
You can come down, buy a t-shirt, a pint glass, a six-pack next week, and 100% of all the monies go. And then the festival that we'll celebrate them is on July 18th and 19th.
Now, Watkins Distributing in Coeur d'Alene will be donating another $10,000 on top of No Lie's donation, and No Lie says it will even continue collecting donations after the 19th. And if you can't get out to No Lie, but you want to donate to the affected families of these firefighters, we're here to help. First, you can donate directly to the 3 families impacted. Donations can also be made in person at any First Interstate Bank branch. The Red and Blue Foundation is accepting donations as well, but fire officials want you to know, do not donate to any organizations claiming to represent them other than First Interstate Bank due to potential scams. You can find a full list of where to donate inside the store on our website at kxly.com.
Takeaways today in your forecast. The 4th of July weekend is upon us, and it will be much cooler than the past few days. It'll be a little cloudier for the 4th as well, including a couple of showers we'll be tracking coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Good Morning Northwest time is now 6:41. Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs may have avoided life in prison, but he's still in jail this morning as he awaits sentencing on 2 charges. Why the judge decided not to release him on bail, next. Sean Diddy Combs remains in jail this morning, a day after being convicted on 2 counts, but acquitted of the most serious charges against him. Still, Combs' attorneys are declaring victory, despite their client still facing prison time. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
This morning, Sean Diddy Combs is behind bars awaiting sentencing after a judge refused to release him on bail. Combs was convicted on 2 of the 5 charges he faced.
Today's a great victory.
His lawyers declaring victory because the jury found him not guilty of the most serious charges, racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking, which could have landed him in prison for life. Instead, the music mogul was convicted of the lesser charges of transportation to engage in prostitution.
It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system. They listened to every word and they got the situation right, or certainly right enough.
The lesser charges carry a maximum of 10 years in prison each, but prosecutors acknowledge guidelines in this case will likely mean Combs faces a maximum of 5 years total. The defense is requesting only a 2-year sentence, given that he has no prior criminal record. Combs was emotional after the verdicts were read, falling to his knees and mouthing "thank you" to the jury. His family celebrating on the street.
We love everybody watching. So happy. Pop's coming home.
But Combs not going home just yet, the judge refusing to release him on bail, citing this hotel surveillance video from 2016 showing Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, the judge saying it shows Combs' propensity for violence.
His attorney sure did plead with the judge to release Combs on bail, and Combs looked pretty frustrated when the judge refused. At one point, he raised his hand as if he wanted to argue himself.
The judge noting Combs' own lawyers told the jury he was violent, saying you full-throatedly in your closing argument told the jury that there was violence here and domestic violence is violence. Despite Combs being found not guilty of the more serious charge of sex trafficking, Cassie Ventura, the star witness in the case, is at peace with the outcome, according to her attorney.
Obviously, she would be a lot happier if the jury had convicted on that, but she's at peace with the verdict.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
All right, the judge proposed a sentencing date of October 3rd, but said he's open to moving up that date. The hearing is scheduled for next week. Combs has already served 9 months in jail. That time will be subtracted from any prison sentence that he receives. All right, a lot of you looking to head out to one of our nearby lakes, and all morning long we've been showing you some live looks out at Liberty Lake this morning. Some of those boats may be getting ready to take off a little bit later today. We've also seen plenty of people out fishing this morning. Pretty great weekend to do so, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a really great weekend. There's obviously a couple of bumps in the road. We're seeing one right now, and we've got one coming on for the second half of the 4th of July. I know, inconvenient timing, but hey, we're just following the trends over here in the Weather Center. So first of all, right now, winds out of the south. It is still going to be a breezy day today. And so let's all make sure, even though it's going to be 7-10 degrees cooler this afternoon, we're still practicing that good fire safety. At this point, folks, we are in fire season, regardless of what the temperatures are. Unless it's 65 and rainy, we got to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves and our neighbors when it comes to fire safety. Gusting still as well, and so it's going to be a blustery day at times. Those blustery winds help fuel that fire down by Bonnie Lake, and that has been bringing smoke into the Spokane Valley area where we're at moderate air quality. We're also seeing air quality trending in the wrong direction in the Spokane area with winds out of the south this morning. So we'll keep an eye on that, bring you the updates on air quality as we go through Good Morning America. Thursday planner, highs only in the low 80s. That's going to feel pretty nice. And some of the best weather we will see, well, what we have seen all week and what we're going to see even as we head through the weekend and beyond. So pretty nice day overall. As we head into your 4th of July, unfortunately, we do have to put in some rain chances in the forecast. So for the Blue Mountains, the LC Valley, and then into all those communities and campgrounds as you work your way to the central Idaho Panhandle, decent chance of rain for the second half of the day. Just a slight chance for Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, but a chance is a chance. And we want you to be aware and not be surprised if we do see a shower. Try to roll up into the I-90 corridor as we head into the back end of Friday. Let's show you this now on our simulated radar. As we head towards 1 or 2 o'clock on Friday, we're starting to see that wet weather right at the bottom of your screen, tracking in towards Highway 12. We're going to see that roll in as we get into the back end of the afternoon. So especially in the central panhandle, we'll be looking for possibility of some lightning. We already saw quite a bit of lightning in parts of the northwest yesterday, plus hopefully some wetting rain along with that. Meanwhile, cloudier skies in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, an odd chance of a sprinkle, but I'm only putting up about a 10% chance of showers, and that lightning largely staying away from the more populated areas of our region. Camping forecast, here's Beauty Creek Campground right up near Beauty Bay. For Saturday and for Sunday, if you're out camping or just enjoying a long weekend, temperatures are looking pretty nice, and overall, just things looking pretty good for the actual weekend part of the weekend. Enjoy it. Next week is looking hot. Upper 90s are back in the forecast. So, yeah, get outside while this weather is nice.
All right, Matt, thank you. Good Morning Northwest time is now 6:50 on the dot. Your morning sprint coming up next. It is 6:53, just about time to get ready to take on your Thursday here in the morning sprint. We're expecting a sunny day, but a bit breezy. Meteorologist Matt Gray has a look at your forecast. But first, Hannah Joy in studio tracking a fire that's burning near Bonnie Lake. Hannah.
Yeah, this morning I checked in with Fire District 3. They tell me the fire is still 0% contained and has now burned more than 400 acres. Now that's roughly the size of 300 football fields. Take a look at this map. It all started around 3 p.m. yesterday near West Cheney Plaza and South Texas Ferry Road, just west of Roselia. At first, crews had a hard time getting to it. The fire was deep in a canyon near Bonnie Lake. Then the wind kicked in, and that's when things got bad. It pushed flames right up the canyon wall. Now, this morning, level 3 evacuations are still in place. We'll keep tracking the fire and bring you updates as we get them in.
Hannah, thank you. The National Interagency Fire Center says fire risk across the inland Northwest is higher than normal this year, and that danger could last through October. Hot weather and dry conditions are fueling concerns, but fire crews say they're ready. Some departments have added more brush trucks and seasonal firefighters, and they're asking the public to do their part by following burn bans, having an evacuation plan, and signing up for Alert Spokane.
Hey, Matt Gray, plan my day.
And you can plan on some pretty nice weather as we go through your hourly forecast. It is going to smell a little smoky because of those fires that broke out yesterday, particularly that Texas Ferry fire. 60s to 70s. It's going to be very nice lunchtime. It's going to be a lot cooler than what we've seen over the past few days for sitting outside for a little lunch break. As we head into the afternoon, look for temperatures only in the low 80s. It's about 7 to 10 degrees cooler than yesterday. Lots of sunshine. It's really looking like it's going to be a nice day.
Well, the firefighting community is coming together after Sunday's deadly ambush on Canfield Mountain. A national crisis team is now in North Idaho offering support to firefighters from Cooney County Fire and Rescue, Coeur d'Alene Fire, and Northern Lakes Fire. All three had members involved in that attack that killed Battalion Chiefs Frank Harwood and John Morrison. The team is helping with mental health, peer support, and communication. Dave Tisdall, an engineer for the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department, was shot and critically wounded during that ambush. We learned last night, though, that Tisdall is off a ventilator and is talking. Coeur d'Alene Fire says his condition is improving while he suffered severe chest and spinal trauma from the shooting. Deputy Fire Marshal Craig Etherton shares the doctors are optimistic for his recovery, although he still has a long road in front of him. If you want to donate to the affected families of these firefighters, we're here to help. First, you can donate directly to the three families. Donations can also be made in person at any First Interstate Bank branch. The Red and Blue Foundation is accepting donations as well. However, fire officials are emphasizing you not donate to any organizations claiming to represent them other than First Interstate Bank due to potential scams. You can find a full list of where to donate on our website, kxoy.com. Well, Brian Kohberger will be sentenced later this month for killing 4 University of Idaho students. He pleaded guilty in court, ending more than 2 years of claiming he was innocent.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Did you kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being?
Yes.
As part of the plea deal, Kohberger avoids the death penalty. Families will get the chance to speak at his sentencing on July 23rd. A traffic alert for Northwest Spokane. A major water project in Spokane could impact your drive starting on Monday. Crews will begin installing a new water main near Francis, Assembly, and Driscoll, closing parts of Assembly and Driscoll in both directions. The road work will be done between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. from Monday through Saturday for several weeks. Temporary traffic signals and detours will be in place. The city expects this first phase of construction to last until August the 15th. We have a link with more information about this project right now on KXOY.com. Well, June's jobs report coming out just a few minutes ago showing employers still hiring at a pretty steady clip. Employers added 147,000 jobs in June, going against some experts' predictions who believed we may be looking at a downturn. This data wipes out any expectation that the Fed could cut interest rates in July. The unemployment rate fell to 4.1%. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are still debating President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. He and Speaker Mike Johnson are working the phones, trying to rally enough Republican support to push it through. Critics warn it could slash Medicaid and add $3.4 trillion to the national debt. A vote could still be hours away. For updates on what's in that bill and what it means for your wallet, tune in to Good Morning America. All right, here's one more live look over Liberty Lake. We'll be back with a final check of the weather after this. Don't go away. More Good Morning Northwest coming up right after the break.
A look here this morning at what's going to be a sunny, beautiful day at Liberty Lake and around the inland Northwest. A little bit of smoky smell in parts of Spokane County this morning after that fire in the south end of the county last night. So there might be a little bit of haze as we head through the first part of the day. It'll still be fairly breezy. Practice some good fire safety for this Thursday. Overall, cooler temperatures, cloudier conditions, and a stray shower for your Friday. 4th of July plans looking mostly okay. Then much warmer weather for next week, so enjoy the cooler temperatures for now.
I'd say 4th of July plans looking pretty darn good with that forecast. All right, thanks, Matt. Thank you for watching Good Morning Northwest here on KXLY4. GMA starts right now.